Welcome back to Inside Texoma. We are talking once again about the drought and the impact it's really having on the water, specifically the water in Wichita Falls. It seems every year you hear more about the lakes kind of turning over and maybe the different taste it brings to the water, or maybe the odor. So can you address that a little bit, and is that something residents might notice this year?
Sure. Typically we do have a lake turnover every year, especially when the lakes are full. It's real easy to turn the lake over when that happens, and that's primarily an algae issue. But this year, with the lakes being lower, we're actually seeing a different issue, and that's the concentrating effect of that drought bringing the salt concentration of the water up. And so we're actually seeing more people comment on, my water's actually tasting salty or tasting a little flat. And it has to do with the drought.
That's interesting. Is there extra things, extra steps that it has to go through, you know, whenever you're treating it, or is it just treated the same?
The majority of the water is treated the same. We might be able to, for a small period of time, dilute some of that salt out by using water from Lake Kemp and running it through our reverse osmosis. But even Lake Kemp is under some severe drought conditions, and that salt concentration is going up. So there's going to be a point where there's not much I can do about the salt, but the message to the public is that water is still safe to drink, even though it does taste a little odd.
And that's important, because I think that might be some of the biggest concerns. Maybe, you know, not so much that salty taste, but is it safe? You know, is it safe for my family? And there's actually a brand new report out to prove just that. I understand the city of Wichita Falls, the water actually received a superior rating.
Yes, our water system is evaluated by the state of Texas every year, and we have the highest rating that the state gives water systems, and that's a superior water system, by meeting all of the criteria that they have in place. We've mentioned that in our drinking water quality report, which is a federal mandate that we have to let you know what we find in your drinking water every year. And that report has to get to you by July 1st of every year. So you should have already received it by the time you see the airing of this program.
Absolutely. So if you didn't, or if your mail maybe is still sitting all together, then go through it and check it out, because like you said, it's an important report, and it really lets you know, and I think eases the mind of maybe a lot of Texomans out there too, letting you know it's good news. You know, your water is rating superior. So, you know, talking a little bit more about that report that's put together and the testing that's done, do they actually come here then and test the water, or samples sent off, or how does that work?
We test the water daily. We calculate anywhere between 9,000 and 13,000 times a week. We touch your water and test it. Now the state comes in, depending on what they're looking for. It may be once a month, it may be quarterly, it may be once a year. And they take samples and ship them off and have them analyzed. And then once a year, they send a sanitarian here, and they go through all of our paperwork to make sure that we're keeping our records proper. They walk through all of the plants and do a full inspection of chemical systems, treatment processes. They look at our laboratory, and then they go out into the system and inspect some of the facilities out there, the pipes, the fire hydrants, the towers that hold the water. And if they find anything wrong, then we get that back in a report, and we have to let them know what our plan of action is to make those corrections.
So it's a big process.
It's a very
to make sure
lengthy
what ends
process.
Up in your home is safe for your family. Is there anything else you'd like to share with us, or anything new that's coming, you know, of course, to the water department, or that we can expect to hear about or see in the future?
Well, obviously we're going to be going on through the summer, which is the time that we don't get much rain.
Sure.
And so we'll be watching those lake levels. We'll be working with the Water Resources Committee, which will be working with the council. And we'll be making plans to implement Stage 3, possibly by the end of this summer if it remains hot and dry, and be getting back with everybody to let them know what we need for them to do to get that extra 20% saving.
Okay, again, I'm hopeful, Mr. Nix, that this will not happen. That will not be a problem. But we are going to take one more quick break, but when we come back, once again, we're going to go over what some of those restrictions are, who you can call if you have any questions, and basically just another look at the Stage 2 drought warning and how it's affecting you, so don't go anywhere. Once again, welcome back to Inside Texoma. We are talking about the drought and the impact it's really playing on Texoma's water. Mr. Nix, you've been giving us a lot of great tips and insight to this. You were saying that many you're finding they want to follow the rules, they want to help out, but they have a lot of questions. What are some of those questions? And maybe you could answer a few at home.
Sure. We have fielded a ton of questions, and as I was telling you, 99% of those are people that are just wanting to know what they can do. It's been a very positive call sequence. Very rarely do we get anybody that's calling complaining about the restrictions or trying to find a way around the restrictions. They want to abide by these. The vast majority of calls that we have been receiving is, when is my day to water? And what type of watering can I do on that day? And we covered that at the beginning of this segment. Other calls have stemmed around, can I wash my driveway? Can I wash my sidewalk? And those are completely restricted unless it's a health or safety concern. Say you've dropped something like grease on your sidewalk or your drive, taking it out to the trash, or you've got blood or something.
Sure.
You want to get that washed off, and we want you to wash it off. It's a health issue. If it's grass clippings, it's not a health, it's not a safety, you're just out of luck. You're going to have to sweep that up. We've been working with a lot of businesses because they do wash their sidewalks so the customers have a nice place to walk into. But I think it goes a long way if the customers see that you're taking steps to sweep rather than spray that sidewalk down. They have a better opinion of your facility if you do that. We do have citizens that call and say this facility is washing their sidewalk or they're washing their drive. They want these businesses to abide by the same rules that they're having to abide by.
And it's not just businesses, right? I mean, residents as well. Everyone's held to the same accountability here, and there are things in place. What could you be looking at if you do violate one of these rules?
We have water patrols out during the day, during the night, on weekends. We have people that are patrolling, and they will issue a water violation citation. It's in the form of a salmon-colored door hanger, and we will submit that to the municipal court, and at their discretion they will prosecute accordingly.
So you're basically looking at a fine then?
The first offense is $50, I believe, and the second offense is $500.
Oh, going up there.
It does go up.
So you have a little warning there, huh? Consider this the warning, and then if it continues, then a fine comes along with it. But again, like you said, for the most part, I understand it's been encouraging, just knowing that a lot of people are wanting to make a difference and conserve as much as possible. So again, you can only spray irrigation on those days.
That's right.
And then you can still, if there's plants or something, you can water those by hand.
That's right.
Any day, but not between the hours of 11 a.m. and
6 p.m.
6 p.m. There we go, 11 to 6. So there's no excuse not to know this. I'm going to know this too. And that's just throughout the year, the 11 to 6, correct?
Exactly. I mean, even if the lakes were 100% full, you still cannot spray irrigate between 11 a.m. and 6 p.m. during the heat of the day. We also encourage people not to do it during windy days because that just sprays it over into the road or on concrete. And let's face it, no matter how much you water that road, you're not going to grow new asphalt. It's just not going to happen. All of this information is available to the public on our website at the city, www.wichitafallstx.gov. You can call us at the water restriction hotline, 761-5000, I believe is the number, and we'll get you the information that you need.
All right, and you can also find a link on our website, newschannel6now.com. Mr. Nix, we appreciate your time and all the information. So thank you, Texoma, for joining us as well. And we're all hoping it does not go any further with those drought restrictions. Thanks for joining us. We hope you have a great day, Texoma. As always, we'll see you back here next Sunday morning for another look inside Texoma.